Time to get back to some motherfucking basics, guys. Necrocracy by Exhumed. 2013 album just was released on Tuesday, August the 6th. This is their second album that they've released ever since reforming back in 2010. The first one, All Guts, No Glory, was reviewed right here on the coverkillernation account a couple of years ago. It's somewhere. Somewhere in the near 1,000 videos that we have here on this channel. Look for it. It's definitely cool. So, let's talk about this album a little bit. Now, call it death metal, call it death grind, call it whatever you really want. I think one of the biggest points that I need to bring up, first and foremost, is the fact that great guitar albums, I mean, we're talking, spellbinding guitar work, the guitar work that really makes you kind of pause and ponder just how the hell they're able to do some of the stuff that they do. Either that, or if you are a guitar player and you're able to do some of that stuff, just kind of stop and, marvel at what they are, what another band is able to perform and kind of give them the slow clap. They can come from just about anywhere. They can come out of basically any genre of music, but in the metal field, it can come from any little subgenre that you have. And this is definitely an album that can qualify for that in some locales. There are some tracks on this album where the guitar solos are searing. They're searing to, the same degrees that you would hear on a classic album, such as a Heartwork by Carcass, such as a Rust in Peace by Megadeth, just to name two examples. They definitely have the solos that keep your attention. They definitely have the solos that kind of make you, stare off into space and think to yourself, damn, that's fucking awesome. So anyway, with this album, we have 9 tracks on it on the initial edition. We have a couple of bonus tracks to contend with as well, 5 of them to be exact. That brings the runtime of this album to a little bit over 50 minutes in length. 50 minutes of new Exhumed material, that's pretty freaking badass. Of course, it's in reality like 38, 39 minutes with some bonus tracks, but who the fuck's counting? Who cares? These are just numbers, ladies and gentlemen. I know my rating is just a number as well, but this is a great album, and I'm going to say that first and foremost because it's true, not to mention it's also because the band has not really given any sort of indication that they're going to slow down anytime soon. Now, the funny thing is that if you read interviews, if you read anything that the band has said regarding this album, especially their centerpiece, Matt, he actually says that they have slowed down. And there are some portions on this album where they do kind of, slow things up a little bit. But yes, slowing down, not really. For them, it definitely has a, they take it down from like 120 to 119, maybe. And that's about it. Because this is still one hell of a just absurdly fast album. It has a lot of great locations and a lot of great moments. The one thing that I still have to praise, of course the vocals are going to be gore splattered and just absolutely over the top awesome. However, the composition and the instrumentalization on this album is something that really deserves a great amount of praise, principally because, like on albums of the past, where they've gotten a little bit of praise and a little bit of, appeal and respect for what they've done as instrumentalists, as composers, this is an album that really shows them very, very focused. That shows them, really writing tight material, really writing material that, even though it's not going to be so technically over the top and so, ridiculous in the way in which it kind of goes from one side to the next, either that or one idea to the next. This isn't Between the Buried and Me. This isn't some progressive metal band. Hell, this isn't even, well, I can't talk about that one yet because that doesn't come out for a month. But this is still an album that's able to really just take a bunch of different riffs and really string them together very well. Not to mention they're able to bridge one musical idea to the next with just fantastic soloing, with just fantastic musicianship. And overall what it does is that it's able to make a song that maybe for other bands that would struggle with this idea, it would take them 12 to 13 minutes to get to these ideas. They're able to compress them into 4 to 5 minute long tracks. In fact, most of them barely clock the 4-minute mark. And because of this, this is where the speed aspect really comes in a grand deal. This is where the speed aspect definitely helps them. And the speed aspect on this album is the fact that even though it's not going to the death grind, store of thought, it's not going to the death grind avenue where it's just going as fast as humanly possible to the point where you feel as though non-humans are performing this record. It's able to kind of dial it back just barely enough where it just feels absolutely smooth. The pacing on this album is just absolutely roughhouse. It's ramshackling anything that it comes into its way. If you happen to be in the way of this album, there's a good chance that you might not wake up to see tomorrow, to be metaphoric. Because of this and because of the tight songwriting, this is an album that flows beautifully, and this is an album that flows very quickly. It's one of those, quick albums whenever you listen to it, even though the runtime speaks a different story. Even though it's, an album that goes 40 to 50 minutes, depending on whether you have the deluxe tracks, the bonus tracks or not, it definitely doesn't feel that way. It feels as though this one is in and out in an instant, 20 to 25 minutes, when in reality it could be up to double that in time frame. And because of that, you have to give Exhumed a whole hell of a lot of credit. They took 2 years in order to craft this record. They were very patient in their writing. They were very concise with their writing. And because of that, we as fans of Exhumed, or, we as metal fans, have been rewarded to another, terrific album by one of the bands that we really praise. So one of the bands that we really have kind of fallen for, considering they have been able to maintain this kind of elder style of death metal charm to them. They really haven't had to doll up everything. They haven't had to, and haven't desired to, should I say, to conform to whatever the newest death metal trend of the week is. They've been able to maintain their gore-splattered, image. They've been able to maintain their very allegory-friendly lyrics and their storytelling that they have within the lyrics. They've been able to just absolutely make very, very good guitar riffs, very, very good compositions, and the way in which they've been able to really, string everything together and package everything together has taken those good compositions into awesome compositions. Really, that's what it takes in order to make a fantastic death metal album with a lot of old school philosophy, with a lot of old school idealism, and then you add in that little bit of grind sensibility, and what you have is one hell of a two-headed monster. And that's exactly what this album is. This album is a great two-headed monster that definitely takes no prisoners and shows zero mercy for anybody who is really inexperienced to something like this. This is an album where if you are trying to get into death metal or death grind, this might be one that you want to listen to. It's going to raise the bar a little bit higher for the expectations that you're going to have for future releases that you listen to in this department subsequently. However, this is still one where if you can enjoy this, you're going to enjoy the genre. Old school fans of the genre, and even ones that have just recently become fans of the genre, will eat this up and love it. This is definitely one of those albums that is a very, very big highlight, a great representative for this subgenre of metal, and it's one in which is being delivered on a year where there's just been a lot of standout tracks and a lot of standout albums. Once again, we have another album from a very well-known name, a very well-respected name, that just delivers. You might as well call 2013 the year that people fucking delivered. Because Exhumed delivered with Necrocracy. 8.5 out of 10. Really have nothing negative to say about this except for the fact that it's too short for me. I want more. I want fucking more, baby. So hopefully we don't have to wait 2 years for the next one. But quality over quantity, guys. Quality over quantity. These guys took 2 years, delivered quality, and that is something that's always on high demand.